From the red cliffs to the rolling hills, this is the pulse of Prince Edward Island. Welcome to the Island Dew.
Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin. Welcome to another episode brought to you by the Island Dew. Like the sparkling dew covering our island fields on a crisp morning, the Island Dew platform, including the Exchange podcast, Ideas podcast, and the community call-in programming, is your opportunity to connect with Islanders, have a voice, and have your say. Call in, comment, engage, participate. This is your medium, your platform for your voice. We want to hear from you, as the Dew provides local context to island issues and opportunities. We're excited to connect again and bring you perspective of Islanders. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Here comes the Dewdrop. We're ready to launch. T-5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon again for a Friday, one of our last podcasts until the first of the fall. But delighted to have back with us today Bianca McGregor. And Bianca is the CEO of the Greater Charlottetown Area Chamber of Commerce. Bianca, we had you in a couple of weeks ago, and we had a really nice conversation. In fact, we had a great conversation.
We had a great conversation.
After. But unfortunately, Facebook had a global internet service outage of some kind. So thank you for coming back and continuing the conversation.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah. So Bianca is the CEO, the representative of the community, not just of business, but of many functions. We'll talk a little bit about the chamber, its mandate, and its focus. And if you do have any questions on anything we discuss or anything on your mind, the number is 902-500-2464. It's always rewarding when people call.
I've been watching.
Yeah.
Very great conversations.
There has been, and not
Super
always what
awesome
we're talking
questions.
about, but they're really, that's the purpose of this, is try to give Islanders a voice and have an opportunity and a platform to get their messages out. So I'm sure Madeline's watching, and she may call.
She is. And so for people who are chiming in, Madeline is our policy analyst at the chamber, and she said that she would give us some quick facts, or you know what I mean?
Sure.
And basically, if we're talking and we're going, or we need a little bit of help.
Well, there's nobody
with
better.
some data points.
Yeah.
There's nobody better than a researcher and a policy analyst.
Yep. So she's on
chime in.
standby. We look forward to her calling, and I'm sure she will. And Mitch Martin and many of your other chamber colleagues are probably online. So how many chambers are across PEI?
There are 5 right now. So there's Sandra Hodder is the ED for the Eastern Chamber.
And
so
I think they have an
cover
AGM coming up, maybe.
Or did they just have it? No, I think they might still be having their AGM.
soon, yeah.
So they cover most of Kings County. Then there's the Greater Charlottetown Area Chamber of Commerce. We cover most of, like our geographical catchment is the capital region. So primarily Stratford, Charlottetown, Cornwall, but we
You've got
cover
members
most
from
of
all over.
And then you've got Kensington Chamber, which is Julie Corbett. She's
been there a while.
Fierce. That is a fierce little chamber.
Yeah.
Huge market penetration. It's like everybody
In the
becomes
community.
becomes a member of the chamber. They're really, really strong. We go to each other's events, and anyway, great chamber. And then you've got Mitch Martin. He's the ED of the Summerside Chamber.
I'm sure Mitch is listening too.
I'm sure Mitch is listening.
So Mitch, you can call in if you hear us saying anything that you want to contest or comment on.
Exactly. And then there is West Prince Chamber. They're being supported by Mitch right now.
Great.
And then there is also, I forgot,
the Francophone.
the Francophone Chamber. So that's Raymond Arsenault is the manager there.
Very good.
And
I put
we
you on
get
the
together
spot.
all the people. So I should know
well,
all these
you
people.
do,
But,
yeah.
but we have a monthly all chambers check-in is what we call it that I host. And we're super supportive of each other and try to work together. And if there's anything, program related or event related that we can pool our
Collaborate
resources
on,
and collaborate on, why not?
Yeah, especially policy things. It's good to have unanimous support for issues that you're advocating on.
And so that's funny that you bring that up because last year we got together and we created the PEI Business Economic Council for that very reason, so that we would we'd have something sort of standardized and a mechanism and organization to advocate collectively to the province mostly and the feds on things that affect business straight across the province.
I'm going to get you. We just got a note from Sylvia. So Sylvia is the person that you don't see, but she's behind the screen and behind the scenes and really helping us be organized and the technology working. She made a suggestion that we should turn you around a little bit because that's the camera.
Okay.
And we just want to make sure that people can see you and that you're addressing the audience, the thousands and thousands who are tuning in.
Sounds good.
The interesting thing with this platform is, and you can see the numbers, they change. Fridays aren't our busiest day, but it is pretty remarkable how many people tune into this outside of the broadcast time. So when we come back in the fall, we may change our time to a time that seems to be more palatable to people because noon, it doesn't seem as the best time.
Really?
Yeah.
I would think that people, I mean, I watch and
yeah, it's interesting.
eat my lunch.
There's certainly, we do get viewership, but there's just by multiples more people interested in digesting this, whether they're driving to work or walking in the evenings. We get a lot more engagement outside of our broadcast time. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on it and see. So thank you, Sylvia, for that comment. So we talked about the advocacy, and then last time we talked about the new Partnership for Growth? Or
no,
so what the
Business Economic Council. So Partnership for Growth.
Come from the Partnership for Growth?
No, it's the same sort of concept. So Partnership for Growth was primarily sector led.
Right.
This is leaner. So
that was too
chamber
big an
led. It was too big. So this is just chamber led.
Okay.
We have an MOU that we signed. There are, so many seats per chamber around the governance table. The EDs sit there, non-voting, but as support. Leaner, meaner. I think we'll get more done.
So how many, is it just chambers and is there government
just
on it?
Chambers.
So there's no government?
No government, no.
That's beautiful. I love that. And I think that was a criticism for me of the past predecessors. There's too many people. It was unwieldy. But anytime you've got government with a seat at the table, that is a challenge.
We've actually agreed that we will not take government money, that it'll be self-sustaining and supported by our memberships, and supported by us. So we're the larger chamber, so we've been from a financial support standpoint.
So it's prorated by size of membership?
Ish,
okay.
Yeah. But it's we've already put out one annual report where during Small Business Week, the Tuesday, I think it's October 20th, we'll be hosting an event to unveil our next report card. And it's really we've got, I think, about 100 economic indicators to measure. And it's about holding government to account. So last year when we unveiled it, we met with the Premier and some of his ministers ahead of time, just to, as a heads up and a courtesy. These are the things that we are looking at and that we are going to be tracking over time. And we will be giving our memberships, all of our memberships across the province, a report card every year, measuring how you're doing.
Yeah, and the Chamber did this years ago when I was involved. I think it was Keith Hornell that used to do these reports. They do municipal and provincial, and government didn't always like them. They don't like to be criticized, but I think it's anybody who's got a thick enough skin can say, okay, this is appropriate to measure the things that we need to improve upon, especially if there's a constituent as large as, so across the province, do you know how many members there'd be? Like it must be 3,000 or 4,000, is there?
No, I don't think it's that big. Probably around 2,500.
Okay.
Yeah, we're at about 1,000 strong, so we'd be the biggest.
So beyond, if you look at that base of membership, paying members, they would represent a large number of employees. I would think that would be in the tens of thousands.
Yes.
So it is an important constituent that government need to be, aware of.
Paying attention to, and they've been really open. I mean, very gracious and and happy to meet with us when we call and ask.
And they should be, because you represent a large constituent.
Exactly.
So there's got to be some communication back and forth.
Exactly.
So look forward to seeing that released during Small Business Week, which is October.
October 19th, the week of October 19th. There'll be things happening all across the province every day of the week.
Okay.
So we'll have one landing page for everything that's happening amongst all chambers.
Okay.
Yeah, so people can go in and take a look. And
that is a new initiative of...
we started it last year.
So there's more collaboration between them.
Way more collaboration.
Which is good. That wasn't always the case.
No.
Okay.
No, it wasn't. But great group of people. Super happy to work together.
And speaking of great group of people, I ran into you yesterday. So I have this annual retreat. I've been doing it for 17 years. I'll give a shout out to both John Brown's as well as Cow's Confectionery. So we always go when my kids finish their schooling. And they're finishing high school, so this is the last one. 17 years we've been doing this routine where we go and we have lunch on the last day of school, and then we go and get candies and chocolate. So to both organizations, we've been habitually doing that now. We'll have to find another reason to visit the institutions. But you were there with your team after a day of connecting with members.
Yes. So we try to do it a few times a year where we just take the whole day, we break up in teams, we divide and conquer, and we try to go visit as many members as we can. We give people a heads up that we're doing this, and our members can reach out and let us know if they want to visit. Yes. So then we prioritize those folks and we make sure that we visit. But it's really just a check-in to see kind of how our members are doing. Sometimes they don't always get a chance to come out to our events.
Of course.
You know, we don't necessarily know exactly, who is. Sometimes our surveys are a bit anonymous. That way we get more engagement. So we just want to reach out and see kind of what the pain points are and how people are feeling. And honestly, 99% of the time, they're just so happy to see us, and they just want to tell us about their business and take us on a tour. Yeah. And it's fascinating. It's really great for my staff to be able to kind of connect and see high-touch connection. Yeah. So we want to go to where they're at, because they don't always get to come to where we are.
It's perfect. And that's a great membership engagement activity. It's probably insightful, the kind of things that you hear from people when you get them one-on-one, and you can ask, what are your issues? What are you hearing? How is business? There's a lot of factors affecting business today. I think from a couple of measurements, now I know it's going to be a really good tourism season. We've asked a number of our guests, and everybody's positive. But there's some indicators that I'm monitoring that I think would suggest that parts of the economy might be softening a bit, and that could be a consequence of exogenous factors like tariffs and geopolitical conflict and inflation. Do you get a bit of an undercurrent as far as what are the issues that members are experiencing, and what's your sense of the economic vitality? And the summer will be good, but coming into the fall, do you have a feel for how people are doing?
So we get all kinds of comments. I would say from a tourism perspective, I think the pain point or the thing that we hear the most is there are certain roles that people are having a hard time recruiting for. So back of house.
That's challenged by immigration policies as well.
It's challenged by immigration policies. So, just be kind to your waitress this summer, because it's probably not the front of the house that's lagging behind. It's the back of the house. So having a really hard time finding cooks and sous chefs and dish pit people and those sorts of things, because I guess they're just... I don't know. We're
not creating enough people.
We're not creating. No. Yeah.
And
so we can talk about that. The population is shrinking.
Yeah.
We had a roundtable with Minister Diab, the federal minister of immigration, a couple weeks ago, and I think one thing that kind of shocked her, although she should know this, being from the region, is that 14%.
She's from Halifax.
She's from Halifax. 14% of our population is under the age of 15, so they're not even
eligible to really do a lot of jobs.
Exactly, and so right there, we have not created our own homegrown talent pipeline.
Takes 20 years to make a 20-year-old.
Exactly.
So.
Well, you know what? I would argue it takes at least 20 years to make an 18-year-old, because you want some planning, there's gestation, there's all these things in there, right?
So you got to build a pipeline in, but we're not doing that as a country anymore.
We haven't done that. So in the short term, this isn't obviously a popular thing to say, but immigration is going to be very important. Immigration is important at all all levels.
For all programs.
For all, yeah.
And we deal with a lot of this. Now, I did reach out to the government this week because the federal government have just met with the provincial territorial members to release their levels planning. So what does immigration look like for the coming year? That hasn't been released, although I've pressured to get access to understand it, because it's important for businesses to know the direction that federal government's going, and then how does the provincial government play into that. So from what I can discern from that, no really meaningful press releases, there continues to be a focus on labor immigration. Mm-hmm. And there's been some lobby from Atlantic Canada to focus in a few areas, but eager to see the government send this out, especially at a time, the height of tourism season, where people are scrambling. And there's no quick fix. So the policy change, if enacted right away, I mean, this is like next year before you start to see any impact from these policy adjustments.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Exactly.
So what else is the membership kind of giving you feedback on?
Well, the Employment Standards Act.
Okay, that's a good one. So this is, we talked about this very briefly. The legislation has been passed. It comes into effect this summer?
June 30th.
Okay, so like
this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple days.
What are some of the changes that have been, already decided on that are coming into effect, and how do your members feel about that?
Well, there are a number of them. So overtime thresholds have been brought down from, I think, 48 hours to 44.
So at a time when the labor market's shrinking, is that, I'll give you my opinion. You don't have to give an opinion. Maybe people don't want to work 40 hours a week. I can appreciate that.
Yeah,
but
I can appreciate that.
Don't restrict that opportunity for people to work where the workforce is needed.
And that's what we're hearing from our employers. Or from our members, is that in some cases the employees are feeling like a little under attack because they want to work those hours, but now the employers have to. Well, they haven't budgeted it
or something.
It's time and a half. So they have to weigh the cost of that versus the lost productivity, and whether they can, bring in a part-time person to take over those hours at a lower cost. Like how you
can't find them. We can't create.
But you can't find them either. So yes. So on the doorsteps yesterday, every team heard about the Employment Standards Act, and and also I think just the timing of it. So the act passed its second reading or something in 2024. So they've been
It's a long time ago.
It's a long time ago.
I can't remember last year.
Right. So people are also calling me and asking me, when consultations were done. Well, that was before my time.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure how wide the consultations were. What kind of happened, and people were probably consulted, but they've forgotten.
Yes.
By now at this point.
Of course.
So I think they feel like perhaps it's. It's a bit of a sudden shift. There's a lot of they're all very kind of small changes, but collectively. Especially in environments where there's a lot of shift work, it just feels like it would be better absorbed by a salaried environment maybe than a shift work environment.
Or let's look at it in the fall when we don't need those workers to satisfy the tourism trade that's buoyant.
Exactly. And so there are some things with regards to split shifts. So split shifts have to happen within like a 12-hour time frame allotment. So there's just a lot while people are getting ready for their busy season that they now have to pivot and think about how they schedule.
It's another input cost consideration.
Exactly. So
I wonder if the employees are looking for those extra hours, and if they're denied that extra, 4 or 5 hours, is that going to affect people who might be banking on that extra?
I think it will affect people.
Sure. And it might affect their
affordability is a huge issue. Right. So there are some winners and losers.
Well, it sounds like everybody's going to lose.
A little bit.
Who's the minister? Is it Zach Bell?
Yes.
It falls into that category. So, Zach, if you're listening, or anybody else is listening with a comment, the number is 902-500-2464. Zach, I'd love to understand the rationale. This is a couple of years ago. In fact, you probably weren't the minister. You might have been the Minister of Tourism at the time. But defend it. Help us understand it. It sounds like it's not good for the employees who might want to increase their earnings during this season. And it certainly would be challenging for the employers who are at the height of their season now having to adapt and pivot. So we'll see if Zach calls. Zach's a good minister and a good communicator. And
I like Zach.
Yeah, we'll see. He's we've dropped the gauntlet, so we'll see if he calls in. Okay, anything else in that Labor Standards Act legislation?
Good question. I sent an email about that last week.
And has there been much, as you're looking that up, has there been much communication to the chambers or the businesses about because these are going to hit them, so they need to know about the changes.
Right. So there has. I mean, the person that is in charge of rolling this act out met with Madeline and I last month to kind of give us a heads up that this was coming, and would we please share it with our larger membership?
That has gone out.
That has gone out.
Okay.
So it went out in advance last week. I think I did. So our members, if any of them are watching, they'll probably have been on the receiving end of a communication tool that we call From Bianca's Desk, and those are all things that are more timely. So they'll come whenever, but it's usually when legislation's coming down or something's going to change, or there's something that's going to affect your business. If you see it From Bianca's Desk, please open that one and read it. And so we've communicated sort of like a high stake level, like the changes that are going to happen. They are hosting, or they did host, I think yesterday and maybe today, some info sessions and seminars so that employers could call in and ask some of those questions, like how does this affect us, and are we reading this right? And this, because in some cases it seems vague, or it sounds vague, and the way you interpret it might not be.
If you went to the legislation to review it, it's actually not easy to digest.
No, right? So, but again, the lead time, I think our members are feeling like they're being a little bit like sideswiped with this one, even though.
Well, it's a long time ago.
It's a long time
3
ago.
years ago almost that this would have been discussed.
Right.
So
Exactly. So now all of a sudden it's just coming up.
What else? Anything else in that act that's kind of,
or
more from as you meet with the members and the steps, which sounds like a great thing.
Advanced scheduling. So that was an interesting one that when I first read it, didn't think it would be that big of a problem. But there's something about having to have your schedule out so many days in advance or something like that, which can cause a problem. So we're hearing that a lot, basically from like quick service restaurants.
Well, I think anybody this time of year in particular.
It's hard.
It is hard. So I can appreciate that the employees don't want to be erratically summoned into work.
Exactly.
Hopefully there's a good bilateral relationship between employer and employer. But things can change quick. A bus tour can pull up to your restaurant and overwhelm your team.
Yeah.
And then what do you do in those situations? So, it's curiosity, some of these amendments. And I guess from my perspective, that might align more with the ideological philosophy of the administration than maybe would to the business owner operators. But anyhow.
There were some increases in sick leave, which they alluded to in the ledge because Matt McFarland had brought forward
What's your
some concerns there.
So we don't want to talk too much about politics because I'm tired of talking about it. But on that particular one, so yes, Matt McFarland did bring forth some legislation. It was defeated.
Yep.
And it kind of dovetailed onto some legislation that came in a previous session. Maybe Carla Bernard presented it some time ago. But this particular legislation, as I understand it, was to minimize the impact of the physician community on issuing sick notes, which are already kind of mandated in legislation to accommodate 3 days, I think. Any communication or feedback on members? Is that something?
Yes. So the Green Party did ask us to reach out to our membership and ask like how they felt about it. And most didn't really have a stance either way. Most are micro businesses. They have a small staff. If a staff is out for an extended period of time, you adapt.
It's impactful, but you
adapt, and you're more concerned for them.
Right, get them back.
To get them back, than you are concerned about whether they're telling the truth or not, or if they need a sick note. And if they're going to ask for a sick note, it's more to help that employee with whatever the next step might be, because maybe that illness is more chronic.
Right.
And, you want to make sure that they've got the paperwork for an extended leave, off the books.
Well, and then
So when we were asked what our stance was, really neutral. Like it's a non-issue.
Okay.
It's really a non-issue with our members. Most can't remember the last time they asked for for a sick note. So I anticipate, if it really is an issue with doctors, that it's probably a couple repeat offenders, maybe larger employers that have like a system and that they're trying to meet.
Frequent flyers that might take advantage of this situation.
Exactly.
So my kid, I don't have a doctor. And nobody's going to care if I'm in or not because the podcast might be delayed. But aside from that, I don't have a family physician to go to get a sick note from. So I'd end up clogging the ER department if I needed to get one. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be there if I'm sick, legitimately sick. So I am for sure somebody who would like to see less government intervention and oversight. So this bill caught my attention because the less intervention, the better. But I do see the rationale behind it. And it was odd that it didn't get a little bit more support in the legislature.
Yeah.
That's politics.
It's politics. Other changes that are coming up: medical leave up to 27 weeks, unpaid job protected medical leave. And that's really just to align with EI benefits. Again, I don't...
It's a challenge for employers, though, to adapt to that.
Yeah. But we haven't heard much about that one. I think it's more what's going to affect them right now.
Sure.
In the coming weeks, and how they have to sort of pivot and change. And pay transparency. There are parts around termination notices, and vacation pay is now you can earn up to 3 weeks pay vacation after working 5 years, which again, we're not hearing anything from our members. That seems really reasonable, but there are some pieces in there. Again, like you said, the timing's a little bit unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. Anyhow, it has, assuming that there was consultation and communication in 2024, you forget about these things.
But there wasn't. There was communication and consultation in 2022, 2023.
Right, before the legislation.
That's
a long time ago.
It's a long time. So again, people feel like this has been sprung on them.
Yeah.
Whereas perhaps people in government are like, what are you talking about? This has been in the works forever. Well, yeah, for you, because it's your job.
Right, you're aware of it.
But
if you're focused on managing your till or your back office, it's probably not priority to monitor legislation.
Exactly.
And that's why we have chambers.
Mm-hmm, that's why we have chambers.
So not to dwell on, is there anything else that kind of caught your attention from that? For the feedback from the members?
But I'm sure there's going to be more, because some of our members have come up and said that they've read it a few times, and there are things that weren't in the highlighted versions.
They're always like reading the budget, right?
Yeah,
you get the good bits,
right? Yeah, you get the positive stuff.
Yeah, you got to dig at it.
There's
to
some
get the
stuff.
good stuff.
There's some stuff buried. I'm sure we'll hear more.
Yeah. Again, if anybody wants to call in on any of these issues, the number is 902-500-2464. And if you notice me looking down, we do have usually pretty active communication string on the Facebook Live site. So if you don't want to call because Bianca's frightening, you can always send us a message. And I'll read it out, and then we can have a conversation about it. So please send your notes in. And you're not that frightening. So hopefully there's nobody scared to call.
I don't think so. I hope not.
So not to dwell on politics, because it's, but politics and business kind of intertwine more than most areas. I think PEI is more susceptible to that interference in other larger communities. So politics is important to business, and governance is important, and legislative sort of representation is important to business. We have a absolutely fascinating by-election coming up.
Yes.
And you are hosting a debate for that.
We're going to host a debate on July 7th. We just confirmed all candidates are available and happy
That's
to
probably the only
partake.
debate that they'll do, I would assume.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. We haven't heard of any others. It'll be at the Cornwall Civic Center at 7 o'clock. There's a lot going on.
Is there much seating there? Like, you might need the APM center.
Good question.
Yeah, anyway.
I feel like we can put. I said we need a space to fit 150.
Okay. So
do you think we need bigger space?
You know what? I looked at
but
this.
we are going to live stream.
Okay.
We're going to live stream.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So it's too hot to go and sit in these rooms in July. So.
Well, and I think the problem too is like it's a logistical nightmare because of youth programs. All the spaces in the Cornwall are occupied. Sure. So that's why we have to have it at 7. Okay. We can't get access before then. And yeah,
it's not quite my bedtime. I can still watch it before I fall asleep.
It's definitely my wind down time. But anyway, I will have some extra coffee that day.
So this, I think it's great that you're hosting this. And I know you always host sort of pre-election conversation,
We do.
debates, whatever they kind of termed as. This one is really, we've talked about it on this show a few times because it's so critically important to all parties.
It is.
People are
watching.
well, it's a short cycle. I think it's the 13th, maybe.
Yes, 13th.
And your debate's the 11th, so it's the last chance to hear the candidates.
Ours is the 7th.
So I'm sorry, right.
I think there will be two days of like advanced voting.
And are you before the advanced polling? Or
And we're kind of in the middle of it. We're kind of in the middle of it because it's bad timing, right? Next week is Canada's Days on the Wednesday midweek.
Not an accident that it was chosen because they had till fall, I think, to hold this. So it's not an accident, but really fascinating because you've got a leader of one of the parties running, and there's some interesting dynamics and how that occurred with the Liberals and Robert Mitchell. We've seen a rise in the Green Party with Matt McFarlane, so he's got a candidate that placed very well last election.
time.
And then you've got Premier Lance and the entire caucus are out unified, pushing hard to make sure they get the candidate over the finish line in a short period of time.
Right.
I don't know if people can get to the doors effectively in the window, but they'll be hustling hard. And I think this debate, like all the debates that I've seen the chambers host, and particularly the Charlottetown Chamber, it's a great opportunity to come out and hear the candidates because you might not see them in the summer. You might be at a soccer match or
Exactly.
you may not be home when they do visit. So it's good for you guys for hosting that.
Thank you. We're looking forward to it.
Any
Pretty
expectations?
excited.
Do you have security or anything there?
Well, I think we've kind of hit our groove. So we'll allow questions from the floor, but they won't be in the same format that you're used to. So it won't be just like line up and go to the mic. Right. We'll be using Slido, which is an app.
That's cool. Yeah, I've seen that before.
Right?
So you can vote on what you want to communicate, and
Exactly. So people can ask their questions, and Madeline will be moderating that and just picking the ones that are rising to the top. So if a bunch of people really want me to ask more questions around access to primary health care or something like that, then we'll choose that one.
Yeah.
It makes the candidates feel safer, I think, and I want to make sure that they feel somewhat
more
safe.
Controlled, right?
It's a little bit more controlled. It's not that we're not going to ask hard questions. It's just that we want to know what the majority of the room or the majority of the viewers really want to hear about.
Yeah.
So we'll be using that app. It's super easy to use. We'll put out a QR code ahead of time.
And the link will be on the chamber website if you want to watch it from home.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, we'll
Should
be
have
live
lots of
streaming.
viewership.
I
Yeah,
think
maybe the Duke
so.
can sponsor that. Okay, so you mentioned Madeline. She's going to be the person kind of moderating those questions.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about the rest of your team because you've got a
Fantastic team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got Heather Nicholson. She's our membership and marketing manager. She's really big sales background, but just the nicest person.
and
honestly,
good communication skills.
Very good communication skills. Really easy to talk to. Loves connecting face to face with our members. So if any of our members are watching, you can't get a hold of me or anything, Heather is always up for coffee. Loves to have a good chat. She'll be there. I think usually when we host a debate, she's the timekeeper. So we make her the bad person.
Okay.
She clicks a little.
Can she cut the
little
mics?
Bell?
Or she just has a bell?
She just has a bell.
Okay.
She just has a bell, which increasingly gets annoying if you keep going. But
Right.
most people pay attention to that, respect
sure.
that. Then we've got Madeline Valois. She's the youngest of our team, and she's our comms manager. So she'll be tweeting and probably Instagram, Facebook, you name it. She'll be
She's a
on all that.
multitasker.
She's a multitasker. She'll be taking lots of pictures and blasting all the information about this event out. Then we've got Chris Beauvais. Chris is our events and sponsorship manager, and he knows how to put an event together seamlessly.
Okay.
He's amazing. He used to work with, I think his last gig was with Olympics, the Winter Olympics.
Okay. He's from PEI, or how'd you connect to?
He
people with that
married
kind
an
of skill set?
Islander.
Great. We need to
need more of those.
export our married age males and females to patriate more people here because we're just not having enough kids. So that's good.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
story.
And then Lynn's been with us forever. She's our CFO. She keeps us all in line and makes sure that we stay on budget and don't break the bank. So
That's good. Yeah. Well, it takes a team to organize these kind of activities that you coordinate. So
it does. They'll all be on site. And like I said, this is, we've done this before. So we anticipate it to go smoothly.
Well, it will.
Here's hoping.
Yeah. I think that it's so important that all of these, candidates represent themselves very well. Sometimes you can get 5, 6 candidates representing different interests, and it can get a little bit unruly. But I expect it will be very humane and articulate and important for each of them. So I suspect there won't be too many debate opportunities in this cycle. So this one will be really well watched. I'll watch it.
Thanks.
So I'll make sure
You'll be there?
I don't know if
Are
I
you
want to take a
watching
seat.
online?
I think it's better that I allow the constituents from the community to take the
that's true.
seats. I'm interested,
true.
but I don't want to plug up the people who need to be there because I can't vote.
Oh, that's true.
So
Yeah.
I will be watching from somewhere outside the door or probably online. One other thing that is a sensitive subject for businesses. So any of these input costs that are affecting operations, and there's lots of them. We can see the dollar is like shrinking shockingly to the U.S., the greenback, and I think we're around 70 cents now, which is not good for, buying and selling. It may be good for exporting, but we can't export as much to the U.S. CUSMA or USMCA, depending on the country,
Right.
Coming up in a couple of days, and that doesn't look terribly positive for resolution. But one input that's on the mind of all islanders is energy.
Right.
And I'm just curious what you're hearing from members on that file. Is there, any suggestions of options that we should be looking at that maybe haven't been explored? And how big an issue is energy pricing for your membership?
It's a really big issue for our larger members that are in like advanced manufacturing. We're hearing from farmers. They've been asking for what we call 3-phase power for a really long time.
Okay.
And, when peak loads are getting hit all the time and we're really focused on just basic energy infrastructure, it's like kicking the can down the road when it comes to that 3-phase power.
You can't kick it much farther.
I know. Which would be, I guess, a real help when it comes to efficiency and kind of lowering costs.
And net metering too. And there's an investment to make those meters adjustable to monitor in real time. I can give you history on that because I've done it in Nova Scotia. But, the benefit of being able to turn on your dishwasher at night and not drive the load at peak times or plug your EV in or whatever it is that's consuming power. So that's another consideration. Anyway, I interrupted you. But.
No. I mean, those are all the things that we're hearing about. And then it's just, it's stemming investment. People would like to, we just talked about workforce. That's a big issue, but energy is a huge one. Why would you expand your plant or build your plant if you're not sure?
And why would you do it on PEI?
Exactly.
Many of these organizations are big enough that they could be any place, as we've seen with Cavendish Farms.
They are, so they're investing money in their locations in other parts of the country and in some aspects, other parts of the world.
Right.
So we're missing out on huge opportunities.
Because of energy pricing.
But also because of stability. Do you know what I mean?
If you're going to be browning out and you don't have reliable supply.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you have to build in your own massive generators just to keep the lights on, we're really not competitive at that point. Really not competitive. So, why would you have that expansion here?
So we're already at a transportation disadvantage. Just logistically. It's not the most compelling location. The workforce complicates things. And now energy is compounding these complications. So,
exactly.
I feel for business, especially those that are exporting outside of PEI, which those are the ones that there's a circulatory benefit to the GDP growth of spending locally, but we also need to be shipping stuff outside of PEI.
Yes.
And if we start to lose those opportunities because of our uncompetitiveness, it's not good.
Right. And then those larger employers, those larger members are really they're so important for the local economy because those,
There's good jobs.
Exactly. They're good jobs. We want those expansions. Those great jobs mean more people are going to the local coffee shop. More people are being good patrons to the retail stores. And the majority of our members in the chamber membership are like 76% of them are micro businesses, 10 employees or less. And they really rely. It does.
Backbone.
But they really rely on the larger members to knock it out of the park and to continue to employ
to feed
people,
the ecosystem
of people and to create those good jobs. So, and we have the basis and the infrastructure already here. When you look at the Bio Alliance, when you look at the Food Island Partnership, we have the building blocks to expand.
Especially that bio community and what it's done.
Exactly.
There's still, I look at that aerospace as an example. There's been spin-offs that have occurred from people who've been in that industry that have now created global operations right here in PEI.
Exactly.
And they're not servicing the PEI marketplace. It's all going outside of the region, in fact, outside of the country in many cases. So, yeah, it's a concern.
Huge concern.
What do you hear from government? Because you do have regular consultation. Are they supportive of business and what you're trying to achieve? Or are they just dealing with their own sort of challenges and trying to keep the proverbial lights on without rocking too many boats?
Right. The general sentiment is that they're supportive of business. They recognize kind of where their bread is buttered.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But are we seeing a lot of really meaningful movement? No. Incremental.
Okay.
When it comes to competitiveness. So
what if you were to recommend, because every survey that comes out, and most people say, okay, taxation.
Yeah.
And they'll say, like, what are the ones? So access to labor, of course, which we've talked about. We do have not to take sides for government, but the tax competitiveness for small business is probably okay.
It's actually great. That's the one area that we are ahead of everybody else. So we have the lowest small business tax rate in the country.
So
and they just raised
from advocacy over
that's
many
from
years.
Advocacy over the years. You can really thank my predecessor or like the board of directors from back in the day. I think 2022 is when they dropped it.
Sure.
To 1%, and that was advocacy coming out of the Charlottetown Chamber. Last year, collectively, we all advocated for the small business threshold to rise, and it did.
Mm-hmm.
Government responded with the threshold going up from $500,000 to $600,000. So now we saved, anybody who's actually, making that much or profiting that much.
Is that competitive? I mean, that's a high threshold, right? But
that's competitive. That's the most competitive in the country. Okay. But then you get to the general corporate tax rate, and we're the least competitive in the country. Yes. And then the personal tax rate. Mm-hmm. So once you get so successful, we tax you at the highest rate in the country, and we also tax your employees. Yep. At some of the highest rates in the country.
Right, some of the bigger employers, yeah.
Exactly. So your employees are keeping less of their paychecks than they would in other parts of the world or other parts of the country. I mean, it's not good.
No.
It's not good.
It's an interesting dilemma, and I've talked about it here before. I've looked at the tax competitiveness across the country on personal and corporate taxes. Alberta's the best place, and it's not great. Like the Canadian tax rates are not really great, but it's better in Alberta. It's a little better in Ontario. It's awful in PEI. And I've flagged this as a concern, especially now in the last budget where the government's come in with a fifth income tax bracket.
Right.
And there's people that have commented on my comments, and they are kind of not pleased that I'm advocating for people at those thresholds. But the challenge is if we don't find a way to empower and include and continue the engagement of businesses at high tax rate, or the individuals at the high tax rate. And you think of an industry like bioscience. There's many people that are at the high thresholds.
They're going to choose not to work here.
There's absolutely going to be a flight of capital, not just of the individual, but also of the investors are rational. And it's pretty easy to look at the tax rates and decide, where do I want to expand, relocate, change my focus? I am 100% confident that that's occurring today. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a complete consequence of this overspending, number one, but then number two, the resulting tax unfairness. So that's my comment. You don't have to agree or disagree, but
we're the only jurisdiction that doesn't index our tax brackets either.
Right.
So, they go in every year and they decide what they can
and at
give
the
up.
low end, it's still not competitive. They've adjusted it, I think. Right. But that's where you want to have the benefit of people retaining more of their earned income.
Exactly.
The lower thresholds. I'm concerned at a number of things, and I won't put words in your mouth because I've talked about it before, but there is an absolute reality of flight of capital and economic opportunity.
100%.
So, okay.
No, you're right.
Well, so we did call out. If there's anybody listening from government, then please give us a shout. The number again, 902-500-2464. And we're watching comments here. Actually, Madeline is watching.
Is she? What's she saying?
She commented, and we don't index what you've said. So she may have said it before you did, but that's... I didn't see it tonight.
So that's one of our advocacy files is taxation. We've been asking that. We've been asking for that consistently, and we've also been asking for the corporate tax rate to go down to at least 13% so that we can be competitive at least within the region.
Good point.
Right?
Yeah. We don't want to lose people to New Brunswick.
No.
And they're closer to market. You have to remember that there's an additional burden.
Transportation costs.
Of course there is logistics of getting it off.
And from an energy perspective, we're at so much more of a disadvantage because we're not a producer. So
right.
Do you know what I mean? Like the region has to get their act together so that we've got energy to buy. And at hopefully
a reasonable price. Yeah. Energy, if you look at because this is a global commodity and it's traded, and the demand for energy across the continent is crazy through things like data center development. And that's only going to increase because those data centers are just being built. They're not even online yet. Mm-hmm. Many of them are now starting to develop their own capacity, but there's not the infrastructure today. I mean, it takes, I think GE Vernova probably have like a 5-year wait list to get some turbines. So anyway, big concern and a big competitive disadvantage potentially, as you've identified, that will affect us not just now, but could, continue to challenge us for years ahead. Yes. Is there any solution that you see, or have your members offered any suggestions other than let's drop the tax rates, which is kind of always one of the first comments that people tend to make?
No, not that I can think of. I mean, Madeline can chime in if we've heard something different. But no, when it comes to affordability, it's really about, okay, fine. Most of our members pay well, like they pay good wages. I think the part that is really annoying is that every time that a minimum wage tax hike happens, I mean, it goes through the whole system, right? So like everybody gets a pay increase. The part that really bugs everybody is that taxation piece where government isn't kind of meeting us halfway. So the burden seems to be put on the private sector to make life more affordable.
And it's a constituent that can't argue. It's a vocal constituent that is easily dismissed by government. One comment that I have observed, just as an economic theorist, when the minimum wage goes up, which is appropriate and it should, it causes compression at the median. So you mentioned that wages will go up. Over time, they probably do, but the immediate impact is that the middle wage earners, they get compressed because their wage doesn't necessarily inflate as quickly as the legislated inflation happens at the lower. And that's where I think you get the pressure. And there's enough pressures today for increasing costs without seeing that cohort kind of pressed, which is probably, I would guess, 30+% of the employable persons at PEI. Madeline can chime in if she's got data on that. But, I think that's an undiscussed conversation when you see wage rate increases, that it does affect people at the margin, which is good, but there's another cohort that are also struggling that do get crushed in that sort of process. So what else? Give us anything else on your mind from the members' perspective, upcoming events, activities that you're kind of involved with?
We tend to wind down a little bit in the summertime because our members are so busy. They're too busy.
They're
too busy in their business, or the ones that aren't are taking vacation. And yes, they don't want to see us. But the summertime tends to be a time when federal ministers like to drop in and do different roundtables. So last year, lots of housing. I think so. Well, we never really know until about 2 weeks out.
Okay.
But we, watch for some from Bianca's desks.
Okay.
Because those will be announced through that medium. Then in September, we're really just gearing up for golf tournament, mixers, and then Small Business Week. Like I said, we've got something happening every day during Small Business Week.
Your calendar's online if people want to see what's happening.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, it's online if anybody wants to see what's happening.
And is it open? So the mixers, it's a monthly cycle?
We usually do them quarterly.
Okay.
But I think you're going to see more mixers out of us starting in the fall because people are coming to them. People are kind of craving that camaraderie, that networking.
Well, we lost that with
piece.
COVID.
We did.
And it's taking a while to rebuild it. So
it has.
Events I've gone to they start slow. People got conditioned to not attend public meetings and events, and networking is a big part of the chamber movement. So
exactly. So we're up to 60, 70 people coming out to our mixers. The Christmas one's always huge, over 200.
Huge. Yeah, it's the best one of the holidays.
It is.
The mixer's open to anybody, or is it just chamber
members?
Okay,
just members.
So
it's a value prop.
Door.
Yeah, it's a Madeline at the door. No.
Okay.
So trying to put together some meaningful engagement opportunities for our membership in the fall, for sure. There will be involved somehow in the premier's meeting that's happening.
Council of Federations.
In July.
July, okay.
Yeah, the Atlantic Chamber is hosting something on that on July 21st. Okay. So, and then I think there's a hope that with a bunch of our colleagues from the region coming in, that we will have more fruitful discussions around the energy file. So our chamber put forth a policy position to the Atlantic Chamber asking them to spearhead advocacy for a better regional approach to energy security.
Which, like you said, we are a consumer and we distribute the energy we get from the mainland.
Exactly.
People may or may not like nuclear, but it is an efficient source of power, and that's coming back online. So we've got to have an opportunity to get here. The other one that we talked about briefly, because I think it would be great to have access to natural gas. Mm-hmm. So that stops right at the, close to the entrance to the bridge. There are consumers and probably members that actually transport natural gas here to the province, and maybe that's another thing that we should be looking at in addition to the access to energy through cables. Maybe a pipeline would be helpful to some of these larger consumers that do use a lot of energy. But we didn't hear from Madeline. I thought for sure she'd be calling. She's scared. She's one of those people that don't want to call because they're nervous.
She's not nervous at all around me.
I know. 902-524-64 as we kind of wind down the hour. A couple things coming up next week for people on Monday as we conclude kind of the month, and we're going to take a seasonal break as the chamber is. Monday we've got RAP, I think, which is the tenancy advocacy group. So they'll be in to talk about.
Yes.
That should be a good one. That'll be... hopefully people will be listening for a perspective on that one.
That's one of our advocacy files as well. I would say that we are probably the loudest supporter of what RAP is trying to do to get changes to the Residential Tenancy Act.
Do you want to give a teaser out on what you think that they might be talking about on Monday?
Sure. Definitely going to be talking about the fact that they would like to see changes to the Act. There are a lot of things that should probably change with the Act, but the main piece would be allowing market rents on legally vacant units. So that's the part that I think is really hurting the rental market. So the only time that you can set a market rate is at the very beginning of the lifespan of that asset.
Right. So you got to burn it down to change your rental rates.
Yeah.
But that's why you see people deconstructing or condoizing,
right,
or going through renovation because it's not feasible maybe now to continue to offer the rates that were grandfathered in from a long time ago. This is a really complicated file,
It's
made more
super
complicated by
complicated.
government, I think, but we'll see what the group have to say Monday.
And I think it's a piece of legislation that had all the best intentions to protect tenants, but really in the end, it's hurting tenants. It's disincentivizing landlords in their upkeep of older buildings because they can't afford it.
Dilapidate them, let them.
Exactly.
So I lived in Halifax and I saw that there were, individuals that own properties that could have been maintained because they're in good locations, but they were caught in the same predicament. So they let them dilapidate until they could tear them down.
Right.
And reconstruct.
Or on the flip side, like you alluded to, folks are looking for a way out and they can't sell as is because it's a guaranteed money loser. So
Correct.
they're converting to condos.
Right.
And so then now their tenants are displaced.
Yeah.
Because that's the only legal kind of way out, or
Right.
fast way out. And then on another angle, new builds are
It's
being
expensive.
it's expensive.
But
I mean,
you
it's
gotta
expensive to build them
it's
anyway, but
very
they're kind of
expensive.
artificially inflating them because they have to look at their cash flow over the lifespan of that asset. So they like front load it, right?
So this is there'll be people on both sides of this conversation, but back to my original comment. Anytime government get involved in something,
They make it worse.
They tend to mess it up, and I think you can trace a lot of these policies. Immigration policies, another one. You can see what the consequence is going to be of bad policy decisions, but government can't seem to look at this in the medium term. It's always reactive,
It's very
and
reactive,
it's sold
then
well
there's
at the moment, but it's a mess.
It is a mess. There are a lot of unintended consequences. I don't think that they put this legislation through intending to displace people, intending
course
to
not.
create some
Businesses
landlords.
are rational actors, and they're going to do what's in their best interest.
Exactly.
So, here we are.
It's making life more unaffordable.
Right. Yeah.
To be
Which
quite
is
honest.
not probably what the intention that Matt McKay
At all.
when he introduced this legislation.
No.
And Matt, if you're around, you can certainly give us a call on Monday. We'd love to hear from you and try and understand what happened there from your perspective. But it should be a good conversation. Now, on Tuesday, we have the United Way coming in, and that's going to kind of finish off our
nice.
seasonal. It'll be great, and look forward to chatting them. I think a couple of people are coming in to look at where their focus is, and there may be some things that the Island Do can help support some initiatives with, which we look forward to exploring. So that's us for the balance of the week. We're going to take a little break and then kind of recalibrate for a resurgence in the fall with some changes. Any closing thoughts for your members? Because this will be reverberating for some period of time, and people will be listening to this. You can hear me. Can you just introduce yourself? I want to make sure I've got you live on the air, which I may not. Hold on one second, Wendy. You look like you're connected. I'm going to put you on speaker, and then Bianca and I can both hear you. This is rudimentary, but it is effective. Wendy, do you want to just introduce yourself? And if you've got anything to say, we'd love to hear from you. Can you hear us, Wendy? Looks like we've got you, Wendy. I'm going to put you on speaker one last time, see if we can get you connected. I don't know if you can hear us. If you can, we'd love to hear from you.
Can you hear me now?
We can, and that's probably my
Okay.
error. So welcome. Why don't you introduce yourself? If this is Wendy Watts that I know, you may have a connection to the chamber, but yeah, tell us what's on your mind.
Oh, I don't know why it's showing up as that because it's actually Madeline from the chamber.
I'll tell you why this is. So here's why that is, because when I was...
Because Wendy used to work at the
Right.
chamber.
So I was involved with the chamber, so the number still comes up under my phone.
Okay. Well,
But
update your contact.
right, shout out to Wendy, even if she's not listening.
I know you're almost ending, so I just wanted to make like one quick point because I know indexation of the personal tax brackets were brought up, and that's like a major point. I just wanted one thing I wanted to mention too. So like I've done some math just on how much it has cost Islanders not to do it. So for a reference, when I had done the math from 2008 to 2023, so if you look at the Bank of Canada, there's usually historical inflation rate of 2% per year. So if you take that average, that first tax bracket threshold in PEI in 2008 would have increased from like 31,984 to over 43,000 in 2023, and that's like much higher than what it is today. So there's a big impact on employees and businesses with that. But I also wanted to get your quick thoughts just on the deficit and financial situation in the province. And, my concern is that the only way to get out of this deficit is either to cut spending big, which could impact like nonprofits or business supports, all that, raise taxes, which you just had a whole conversation about how we should reduce taxes, or if there's a way they can, work with the private sector to have economic transformation, that sort of thing. Because we are seeing PEI in the last year, they did it's a bit of a paradox where they did have strong economic growth compared to other provinces and record exports, but we're also very, very bad with deficits. So we're spending a lot too. Like, for example, if you count Health PEI and the Department of Health and Wellness, that's over 40% of our budget alone. So just kind of like a balance of we could do better, I think, but we're spending a lot too.
Well, Madeline,
to the choir.
You probably know my perspective. I'm pretty consistent in my comments, so probably nobody needs to hear that. But I can hand it over to Bianca. Anything else that you want to say, and we will just hand it back to Bianca for her comments.
No, I think that's all good.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for the call. If you see Wendy Watts, say hello. And
Okay, I will.
thank you very much, Madeline. So there's a few things
Those
there.
are all things that we talk about at length all the time at our advocacy roundtables, at the boardroom level.
So if you don't want to, if you want to walk on eggshells.
No, I don't want to walk on
but
eggshells. You just let me know.
I'm happy to tackle any of those because I think Madeline addressed some real concerns that we have.
Huge concerns. No, they can't raise taxes. It'll make us less competitive.
So spend less or charge more. They can't regulate themselves to spend less. So I don't think that's an option. I don't think they know how to not spend more. So then where's the money going to come from?
They have to not spend more.
They don't seem able.
So that's one thing when you were saying earlier, you go through the budget line item by line item.
I have it right there. We can pull it
pages.
over. Yeah.
And so we've been doing that, and we're asking ourselves, where's the transformational economic opportunities? Like, where's the investment? Where's the money for investment when you haven't really changed any of those lines? You're just remaining status quo so that you can keep everybody happy.
Going up your
like
a percentage every budget because
exactly
you're not saving in the departments.
Exactly. So that's our big question that we've been asking, ministers and the premier. It was in our Q&A at our AGM. So where's the money for investments? Might be unpopular, but we have to really take a better look at immigration and how we invite and sustain growth, because we need a bigger tax base.
Right.
So we can't be taxing the people that live here already more. We need more people to tax.
Yeah.
Is the issue. So
I'm just trying to hold myself back.
No. You just I'm positive we agree.
Oh, no question.
I'm positive we agree. And this isn't me attempting to be, not, be aggressive about it. It's just fact. The data is the data. Yeah. It's fact. You cannot, if you're going to talk about affordability measures, you can't tax people more. I'm sorry, but then we need more people to tax, and we've got an aging population, and I think that's lovely. I think that's lovely that we've got a lot of people who spend their retirement here and grow old here and live here, but they're not the folks that we need right now to keep this economic engine running. They actually cost us a lot of money. Right. They're probably a large portion of the reason why healthcare is so expensive and high right now. That and I mean there are a lot of inefficiencies definitely happening.
Let me couch that a little bit just to sort of desensitize it, because it's a very controversial issue. We've talked about these items, and immigration is always one of the most volatile subjects that we touch on. So
right.
You made some comments that you're correct, but let's look at them. So the people, every Western economy has an aging population. That's like,
yes.
Europe, US, Canada, our population is aging and people are living longer, and the complications of healthcare intensify as you age. So nothing wrong with aging population being part of our community. The
Or
challenge
taking
is,
care of our aging
of course,
population.
right? But we need a productive population to support that growth.
We need a strong workforce.
And we aren't having enough children, as we discussed. So one option to solve that is, get back to the 9-10 person families. Nobody can afford that. So,
And how do we incentivize that? And again, to your point earlier, it's going to take a couple decades to make an 18-year-old.
China is having the same problem, believe it or not. Their population is declining because they had a one-child policy. So we're not alone in this. It just is a little bit more pronounced in Atlantic Canada even than other places. So we need more people. The immigration approach is probably the only one quick fix. And every jurisdiction across the country is struggling with that same challenge. There's pushback on immigration. There's a need for population renewal. And, we did call out Zach Bell earlier, but he's also the Minister of Immigration. And I don't know if the department reach out to you for consultation, the chambers. They could probably cast their net a little bit wider, I would suggest, because I don't see a lot of consultation on these issues. And I've done a lot of research on the subject. So I think so. Your point is absolutely valid and concerning, and there's no quick fix. So we do need a productive population. I'm just trying to soften a little bit of the pushback that we might get on this. So the other comment you had is on taxation. So the government can spend less or tax more. It's a pretty simple equation. We also have, as Madeline mentioned, 40+% goes to healthcare through two departments, which are redundant and probably should be consolidated. But in addition to that, about the same percentage comes as federal transfers from Ottawa to our economy. And that is very vulnerable, I would suggest.
100, yes.
In this environment. So
it is.
There's a whole bunch of things coming at us. I don't see much consideration from the policymakers. So if we're not going, I guess you have regular consultation, I assume, pre-budget. And you've done it now a few times. Do you see any recognition of the, compulsion to overspend? I'll put it that way. Or is there any potential to regulate this spending problem that we seem to be afflicted with?
I mean, the last consultation we had was a couple weeks ago, and
with finance.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're going through a process right now.
They're going through a process right now,
which probably should have been like a 6-week process, but it's like a 12-month process.
Something like that. Yeah. Okay. And so they're looking to find about $195 million.
That doesn't even get rid of our deficit.
No, it doesn't get rid of our deficit. It's, you got to kind of wonder like where the wheels fell off the wagon at one point, because, and I would go back to, 2 Novembers ago, was it? Or like when they tabled last year's budget and they said that we were going to have $180 million deficit.
I can't budget.
And then all of a sudden by November it was,
right.
So it was in the spring, so April.
But they've done this a couple of times.
And they've done this a couple of times. So
it's an accountancy problem or a numeracy problem.
Something's happening, or there's like there has to be a disconnect, and maybe individual departments aren't being held to task when they overspend, or I don't know. I don't know enough about what's going on behind the curtain. I haven't been given a view to that. I'm privy to the same
Wicked? Information
that you have.
Or the Wizard of Oz, like the curtain. It's not that glamorous behind the curtain. I don't think.
Not no. So yes, no. We talk about this all the time at our boardroom table, and the fact that they have no wiggle room. Like they have literally
afforded no flexibility. At a time when things were good, like they were spending on new infrastructure, competing with private industry at a time when we didn't need to do that.
So we're one disaster away from our bond rating going.
Which there's another one coming in July, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's De Beers maybe that do another assessment. Yeah,
then Kuzma, right? So you got Kuzma,
sure,
up in the air right now. Which who knows?
Well, there's going to be nothing. I mean, July 1st is going to come and go. There'll be. I mean, the interesting thing about that whole agreement is they've got 10 years, even if they decide not to do anything. There's a long.
Right.
It'll outlive the current presidency and the current prime minister, but. Yeah, that's a big uncertainty.
It is a huge uncertainty, though, because everybody says, "Oh, it'll outlive," but I mean, this man's gone to war and circumnavigate it. Congress.
And he's stopped wars all over the globe, apparently, too. We have to figure out which ones those would be. But.
So I think I think we have to be, super cautious.
Yeah.
When we talk about CUSMA, and also, really aware of the fact that various sectors in industry, and to the credit of the folks at Innovation PEI and EDC and stuff like that, really been working hard to create new markets and stuff like that. But we're not there.
Their investments are restricted too.
Exactly.
They can't do much.
So if CUSMA goes
right.
belly up,
where are we going?
We're so dependent
so
still.
I hope that they
on the United States.
Assume that it's gone belly up. Like.
No, I don't.
10 months ago, they should have been looking for new markets, which the Canadian Prime Minister was.
Which they were.
Yeah.
Which they were. Yeah. Like, folks here were.
Yeah.
And they continue to.
Right.
So, lots of trade missions are happening. Lots of work is being done behind the scenes, being driven by sector associations and leads and stuff like that. But when the majority of your exports are food related, it's the runway is really long to get those into other markets, right? So we're still very, very dependent
we need that
on our
relationships
with the United States.
Yeah.
And so if anything was to happen overnight with those relationships with the United States, we'd be in a lot of trouble. I mean,
we have less than a week to find out. So
right. Yeah. And so then you go back to the budget. There's no wiggle room.
Right.
There's no wiggle room
unless
to
you
help
increase
with
taxes.
Right.
Which they've done because they've added that fifth tax bracket. So there's going to be a flight, I think. We'll see. That's my fear. And I know people are positioning.
And we can't have a flight.
I think it's already in motion. Like
we need that workforce.
The policy decisions, and maybe Innovation PEI are supporting businesses to open up in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. I hope not.
Oh, God.
Okay.
And then something else that we didn't talk about when it comes to recruitment and retention. So if we have a flight, people going out, then we're going to have to get people back in.
It's not easy.
No.
It's expensive.
It's not easy. It's expensive. And healthcare is really throwing a wrench into that. Nobody's moving here when you can't give them even a timeline on when they might have access to it.
I didn't bother putting my name in the registry because in my lifetime, they're not going to have enough doctors to satisfy 45,000 people who are arguably without primary care health. I could use health, but anyway.
So that's another one that
these are
didn't
all great.
Bring up.
We might run another hour.
We might, but it's a huge barrier for recruitment and retention in a time where immigration they really aren't making pathways to permanent residency that easy, and so we're expected to recruit from other parts of the country. Who's going to come here?
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument that immigration is taking resources from a more vulnerable population. So when you recruit nurses from the Philippines, you're kind of taking resources from another struggling, not third world but challenged environment. And it's the same in domestically when you recruit. So that's what we do. We recruit domestically, and you're basically just extracting a needed resource from another cousin. And at the end of the day, you're just raising the threshold of price across the process. So, the wage goes up, which is a compounding effect of trying to recruit, and then we're not making any more people. So I think we will be at a significant disadvantage because we can't compete on price. We did the last round of negotiations with the family physicians, and that didn't end well. So we do have a problem. Madeline sent another note in here just to sort of change subject a little bit. She says debt interest payments alone will cost Islanders $201 million this year, or about $1,091 per person. So, and on top of that, we've got the federal debt. So I think it's getting up to like $3,000 or something per person. But it's an interesting point. You mentioned about talking to the finance department about $190 million compression of budget expenditures. That's the interest.
That's the interest.
If the interest rates don't go up, which they're arguably going up in the States, so we probably would follow suit, although I don't think our economy is as strong as the U.S. at present. So, boy, we should have started with this because I'm just getting lathered up. Anyhow, a good conversation. Was there anything else? I know you kind of hit a couple of things, but anything else on that you wanted to touch on? No. Okay.
I think we're good.
We probably touched maybe some raw nerves for some folks. Of course, as always, government are listening, and you're welcome to give us a call. And certainly, if you're open for consultation, I think the due viewership I'd be happy to have people on and discuss it. I'd be happy to give you my suggestions should you be interested. Certainly on some policy items, I think I've got a little bit more, I don't know, perspective, let's suggest. But we've kept you longer than we thought.
Yes. It's been great, though.
It is great.
It's a great conversation.
Yeah, it's really great. And thank you, Madeline, for listening, but also giving us some data to chew on and support what we're talking about. Do want to thank you and the Chamber and wish your staff a good summer. You've got lots to be thankful for as you get ready for your golf tournaments and things in the fall. Let me leave the closing words to you, Bianca, the CEO of the Greater Charlottetown Area Chamber of Commerce.
Sure.
And you can close this out, and thank you again for your time today.
Oh, thank you for having me. For any of our members that are listening, our doors are always open, just a phone call away. We don't read minds, so if there is something that is bothering any of our members, we really encourage them to reach out. I find it funny, sometimes they call and they act as if perhaps they're bothering us, but no, this is why we exist. They're members. We exist to support you in your entrepreneurial endeavors and to listen to any issues that you might be having and to bring those thoughts and issues forward to the appropriate folks that might be able to help move the pendulum.
And there's lots of issues.
There's lots of issues, and I don't think any of them are too small. And the whole point of a chamber is, and I think the thing that we hear most from our chamber members, especially for networking, is that they appreciate the networking because then they get to talk to their colleagues who are also feeling the same pressures, feeling the same pain points, might have some advice for them on, how to move forward or how to navigate this world. I will say that we have such an amazing membership. We've got great entrepreneurial spirit. Some amazing things are happening on this island. Some of the members that we have, the things that they are doing, they're just so quietly doing them, and you wouldn't even know. Yeah. You wouldn't even know. It's such exciting things, and they're here for, people decide to start their businesses or expand their businesses or do things here for various reasons. And it's not always just looking at the economic pain points of it. It's because they grew up here and they care about the place and they love it here. And it's a great place to, raise a family.
Just got to keep the taxes balanced.
Exactly. But they're willing to work through it, and engage with us and trust that, if there's enough of us with enough loud voices, also attempting to bring solutions to government. That's key. They do need help. Yeah. I remember actually one of my very first meetings with Dennis King when he was around, and I really appreciated his directness and candor. Was Bianca, bring me something I can legislate. Okay. Like, bring me a solution. Yeah. Stop bringing me your problems. Bring me your solution.
Right. Which is what they absolutely people forget that you can't come with a request without some kind of an approach for them.
Right, because then they try to fix it, and then we end up with a bunch of legislation with unintended consequences. That because they are not living it and they didn't think about what would happen
like the
if
Tenancy
they do.
Act.
Like the Tenancy Act,
for instance.
100%.
Yeah.
So yes, I'll just leave with that. This is a fantastic place to live, work, play, do business,
and pay taxes. Just don't pay too much taxes.
And we can do better. And I think collectively we'll push for better.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of the Chamber Network, I appreciate what you and your team are doing, and it's really important for the vibrancy of the economic community. So keep on pushing, and hopefully, I know you've got good relations with government, and hopefully there's an opportunity to collaborate to solve the many challenges that we have faced, some of which we talked about. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you.
Hope everyone enjoys their weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Thank you.
Sounds great.